Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Cup of the Day podcast. We're delighted to have you back with us once again on a fine Wednesday evening. In most of Europe, in the British Isles, it's still, Babz, it's pretty rough here.
Oh no, I'm jealous of you guys in the British Isles. Honestly, you say a fine evening. It's a bit too fine for my liking, if I'm honest. I mean, I'm wearing a T-shirt for the podcast, but I haven't been wearing one for about a week. And the towel behind me is a preventative measure. But we'll soldier on and get through it because we're here for more important things tonight.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's not talk about Babs' and his bodily fluids and whatever he's doing with that. Hey, Import, come in, save this podcast, all right? We've got an experienced podcaster with us this evening to make sure things are okay.
I'm the worst person to save this podcast. You can ask the other guys on our podcast. I am the worst person to save any podcast. I will likely get you guys canceled by the end of the night. So,
sorry. Someone had to do it. Someone had to do it, all right? We've had a good run. I think it's about time we enter our drama era here on Cup of the Day. So sounds like a plan for this evening. Before we do get into that, Import, why don't you tell the fine folks at home a little bit about yourself, where you came from, how you got into the scene, what's going on, my dude?
Well, that's a lot of questions.
It really is. That's very open-ended.
All right. Let's. What was the first question?
Listen, we'll just go with who you are. Just nice and basic.
Hi. My name is Import. You can also call me Aaron. I'm an American that's happening to be living in Germany for the last 4 years now. And I do a lot of Trackmania dings, especially with Evo. You've probably seen us everywhere. We're kind of hard to miss. Sorry about that. And yeah, we do online events, we have teams, we do community events, and also we do a LAN or two maybe you've heard about before. So, just things.
I feel like this is just going to be one long extended plug for XPEvo tonight. All right. Look, I'm excited for it. I know a lot of people are very excited for XPEvo, and so I'm all for it. And you're right, the XPEvo branding, or the Evo branding in general, hard to miss. It's just solid. It's solid goddamn branding. Right.
We do not like doing things without quality. So otherwise I will be angry.
Words I wish everyone in esports lived by, if I'm honest with you there, Import. We need more of that in general. So let's talk about esports a little bit. How did you get into, esports or Trackmania first?
I got into esports first. I got into esports first. So, I mean, I've been a gamer all my life, typical gamer story. I've been gaming since I was like 4, with a N64. When I actually got into esports though, I'd probably actually say right around university for me, which was I was a late bloomer, still am a late bloomer. I'm 30 years old. I know I don't look like it, but I started at university at age 21, and yeah, started a esports club at my university, and initially just started as a student club. Eventually, initially had like 40 members at the club, which was kind of crazy for a new club starting out. It grew to an official university esports program, recognized by the university, funded with scholarship money. Had the university invest about $80,000 into it. We had a League of Legends team, CS:GO. We had Smash Bros. Weekly tournaments. And they gave us a facility, 20 PCs, and then Import was stupid and decided that he focused way too much time on his cool little baby, his esports program, and not enough on his studies. And so, unfortunately, all the thing that I built up did not. It's still going on. In fact, actually, what's really cool is that despite me no longer being involved with that, the university continued to fund money into it, and now they have this like about, I would almost say, $1 million facility. They added 40 PCs, brand new gaming chairs, like 3 huge monitors, a bunch of consoles. They hired a full-on staff to run the program. So I can say at least I founded it. That's cool. I didn't get to see it grow the way I wanted it to, but I founded it. All
right. Which university was this?
It was Grand Canyon University.
Interesting. Because I was just... Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No.
I was just going to say, like, my main exposure to collegiate esports at the moment is, first of all, I'm aware that the League of Legends collegiate scene in North America is quite healthy, but mostly I focus on Rocket League collegiate esports in Europe, and obviously there's a World Championship now for that as well, and there's a lot of very good Rocket League teams. So I was just wondering if it was one that I had heard of who was doing well in Rocket League over in North America, and unfortunately, the answer is no.
we were in the right state, but the wrong university, because University of Arizona was huge in collegiate Rocket League for a while. Grand Canyon didn't really ever get off at all, I think. Realistically, none of our teams were I think it was just straight up the student skill level was just way
Too many people
below.
going to college for studies and not enough going for the esports
What's
program.
with that, honestly, bro?
Crazy.
I'm like, I'm looking for stars here, and they're just giving me filthy casuals, and I was confused. But also, it didn't help that the major like esports universities at the time. So when I did this, it was at the beginning of the boom for collegiate esports in America. So not only did you have League of Legends, but you had Blizzard's initiative, which later failed. They had Blizzard's initiative with Heroes of the Storm and eventually Overwatch and everything. They had I forget what group they did it with. Honestly, it was TESPA. There we go, TESPA. TESPA was like the American esports collegiate organization that Blizzard partnered with. And I met a lot of people through that program. And League of Legends at the time had that huge collegiate program where they even brought out like leaders from each university to go have like a full-on camp, like fun, cool thing for a week at Riot Studios and everything. And I came in after last year. I applied. They rejected me for ASU, which was actually a smaller esports club at the time. And then that year after, when I would have been 100% guaranteed to probably go, they shut the program down.
I feel like it's just so true in a lot of esports, right? Like right place, right time, and right time really being the key part of that, right? It's just about you can force your way from the wrong place into almost anything as long as you still are there at the right time, I feel like, in esports.
Yeah. So that was the collegiate side. I also did some other cool things. I did a internship with a esports tournament platform. Intern that was like their collegiate like sales sort of guy. They sent me around to a bunch of gaming cons in Indianapolis and Utah and everything. I got to travel, meet new people. Still connected with those people to this day. A lot of my event organizational skills and everything is I've learned from those people, because when I was going out to these Comic Cons, it was other people from other universities who were running esports tournaments and massive productions. And so kind of taking that and being like, I wish I could do that one day, and never really thinking I was going to do that one day. Yeah, I'll try to fast forward because it is like my esports history is pretty long. I'm 30 years old. I'm sorry.
This is so. I mean, moving from there specifically just into, you were involved in a lot of esports. You were involved in the esports scene and stuff. So, at what point in all of that did Trackmania pop up onto your radar?
So, Trackmania actually popped into my radar during university a little bit. I played it off and on. I played Trackmania 2 Stadium. 2014 specifically is the year that I remember the most. During my internship, I actually played a lot of Trackmania 2 Stadium. I played mainly full speed because I was like, oh, I'm going fast and I'm like super good. I'm top 300 in North America. Surely that means something. It didn't. And yeah, so that was kind of the thing. In the meantime, I kind of was casual with it, still doing the esports thing on the side with the university. Even got to like, I don't know if you guys know who the Arizona Diamondbacks are, professional baseball team.
I've heard the name.
Consulted with them for them to do tournaments at their event. That's cool. I'm gloating at this point. And then afterwards, then I fell out. Then I like flunked out of university because priorities. Fumbled around for a couple years, and then finally at about 2019, my parents came up to me because I was living with my parents at the time. My dad's U.S. military. He's currently still active U.S. military, and so he's constantly gone. My mom, she has health problems, so she's independent. She can do a lot of things on her own, but in case like any emergency were to happen, I'm still here. And she's had multiple heart issues and whatnot, so it's important to have somebody around. I always said that I would stick around until he retired. He has not retired. We're in Germany and he has not retired. So eventually what happened is that he was stationed around a couple places in the States. I stayed with my mom. My family has a religious background. She was a pastor. So she pastored a church. And then finally it came to the point where she was just too tired. It was too much on her. So my dad got an offer to move to Germany and be stationed there in 2019. My mom was like, I'm going to go with him. I was like, bet. And at this time, I just got a new job, and it was like a solid job. So I was like, okay, like I got this. I was playing video games at the time. I still had friends, blah blah blah. But like I wasn't esports. I did racing sim. I did iRacing leagues and stuff at that point. So I wasn't really doing anything crazy. And then after I thought about it, I said, let's move to Germany. Move to Germany, cool, great. Trying to learn the language. 2020 happens. I start playing Trackmania. I was like, holy crap. It was the second day after Trackmania released.
And so you were playing some racing games and stuff already. It wasn't completely blind coming into it. You had...
I'm also a Euro Truck Simulator addict.
After that's why you decided to move to Germany.
Yes. So I kid you not, after XPEvo, a group of us from Evo will be playing Euro Truck Simulator religiously because we finally have time to do so. But yeah, we moved to Germany. 2020 happens. The game comes out. COVID happens. Like at that time, great. And I didn't actually get involved with Evo until 2020. I was a moderator at the time. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started as a moderator, just became friends with Phenom and Chris and the guys. Eventually, Chris decided to make a casual team in Evo at 2021. That was June 2021. 2 months later, I became an admin because I was just super active and wanting to build a community with them. Something I like doing is building communities. I don't know why I do. I like doing it. And then when I'm like building it, I'm like, man, I could be doing something else that would be like less stressful, but it's still fun. I enjoy it. So built a community from 2021. We had our first major tournament together in 2022 with Evo Full Speed Survival. That's the full speed competition. It was a solo person. And during May of that same year, a guy was walking around, and his name was Vemzer. And he was walking around talking to people, trying to figure out what the interest is of having a Trackmania tournament LAN in Germany. And we had EFS, we had Ice Cup, we had Dirt Weekly and Dirt Invitational.
Plenty of tournaments going on.
With Ice Weekly. So we were like fully in on like not just tournaments, but high quality tournaments. Not only did we our formula was always this, and it was me and Chris who did the tournaments mainly. Of course, we had people helping us. I'm not saying like nobody helped us. Like we had people help us, but like me and Chris,
a village, but
it takes a village.
You need someone to lead that village as well.
XPEvo, as far as right now, we're at 30 staff. Like it takes a freaking village. But like our theory was that like we could have online tournaments, but we see that online tournaments nobody really cares unless there's something that gives it something extra. So ours was a content that not only was it just felt high quality. Like we wanted our graphics, we wanted the video, we wanted the gameplay with our server controller, because that's also another thing. Our server controller is like
top quality,
relatively high quality, like for dedicated servers. So we wanted that to be across the board. It takes time. We did way too much in 2020. We burnt ourselves out. But Trackmania came along. Vemzer came. He said he was looking around, and honestly, Vemzer wasn't really on Evo. Evo wasn't on Vemzer's radar. Famazo, if he's here, Famazo reached out to Vemzer and told him, "Hey, you should talk to the Evo guys." Vemzer comes to me, kind of talks to me. I was like, "Yeah, I think a land idea is a really good idea because there's only French lands everywhere." That's we'll get on that topic
pretty strong
later.
French community, yeah.
We'll get on that. We'll get on my soapbox later about that. But there's only French lands. There's not really any good international lands. The international land that was happening at that time was Arctic Gaming Experience.
Yeah,
I have feelings about this event, very strong feelings about this event.
We'll get deep into all the land stuff a little bit later on as well. But so basically, that is the road to XPEvo, and we'll get more into XPEvo and as you say, these other lands later on.
I could talk forever.
No, this is it, and this is we all could as well. I want to just circle back a little bit there and just talk about where Evo came from as well, because obviously you joined and there was an Evo to join already at that point. So just maybe if someone's less familiar, me for example, with where Evo came to be, because I feel like I joined the community and Evo was already just there. It was a staple. So how did Evo kind of come to be, and what was the state it was actually in when you got there?
Yeah, hopefully I get this right. Nobody hates me for it. But
It's a
Evo
very difficult
started.
question to ask someone who joined a couple of
It's-
years after it began.
It's true. Evo started in 2017 with a group of guys. It was Phenom who. It was mainly Phenom and Breaker. They co-founded the team together. Um, it was mainly just a group of servers that they made for their friends. They happened to all like full speed. Eventually, it became like a team thing where it was Evo. Very young team, very young players. So take with that what you will. Every young team always has like their little bit of drama at the beginning of like stupid things they said or did. But Evo then transitioned to 2020. They were able to get a first look through Nadeo, especially when it came to servers, because Evo had the most popular servers, and I think TMNF and TM2.
They were probably up there in Stadium. Yeah,
they were up there.
yeah. Just with how the servers worked in Stadium, there were more servers floating around, and Evo's definitely the group that has made the best transition from that kind of server style of Stadium across to Trackmania 2020. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there are still Evo servers, and in terms of like classic servers, otherwise that were there in Stadium, were there in TMNF. Like, it's not really there anymore. Most of them.
Yeah, yeah. Evo, we had when TM 2020 released, we still had majority of the servers in the older games, and then after a while, it just like not many people were using them. Obviously, the game's popularity. You had like the dedicated few, but those dedicated viewers were only dedicated to specific type of maps that were massive challenges, right? And not like just a general type of servers that we have with like a general style focus. So those servers
Pouring out for the RPG and trial community who are still surviving back on
exactly.
TMNF and Stadium.
Exactly. So those servers we eventually closed down and transferred over into Trackmania 2020, where off the bat, Evo was ready with a small set of servers. They had a full speed beginner server, a full speed advanced, a tech server, and a dirt server. So they already had 4 styles available at the beginning of that release, because grass was released, but there was no grass map, like a ton of grass maps yet, so grass wasn't really a server yet. And mixed wasn't. I don't know if we have mixed, but yeah, we've been around server wise for a while. And when Nadeo was doing smart things, they had the UI, the server UI, and the dedicated server UI at the forefront of the opening pages when you enter the game. And now they're hidden behind at least 3 or 4 clicks now. So of course that impacted
not
everybody.
necessarily very easy clicks to put together as well.
Yeah.
It's not an intuitive route through the UI to get to the server page necessarily, which is a bit of a shame. You know, it is tough. I would like to take the conversation we're having and just transition it then a little bit to talk about kind of orgs in general, because obviously Evo, with all of that, then there's a lot going on. There is a very stable base from which to kind of host teams. You've recently expanded into sim racing as well, I believe. Is that right?
No, that's ITB.
No,
did Evo not announce a team in something else as well?
Valorant, was it?
Valorant, but yeah,
kind of. There was you were making moves in other directions as well.
We're trying.
I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah. We're trying. Yeah. So we're trying because we think that Nadeo and the current direction that they're in right now with the game and everything, it's just so unstable and it's so difficult to predict, especially with the fact that they're spending their resources on other things that are not Trackmania 2020 related. That it's not looking the best. And so we are trying to see if there's something else that we can move to, but our community is so ingrained in Trackmania that it's nearly impossible. And like you said, sim racing and everything, that's something we could get into. Forever and me, we talk quite a bit, not like every day, but we talk quite a bit and everything. And he's approached me with like some initiatives that we can maybe pursue together and whatnot, sim racing or otherwise. But as like the interest has to be there, not from an external point of view, but an internal point of view. And if the internal point of view, which Evo is predominantly, it's half competitive and half casual. So with our competitive, they're 100% focused on Trackmania. Our casual, they're focused on Trackmania, but they're also casual. They're not going to play anything super competitive. I would say the largest share of players that we have that share to another game is probably Counter-Strike. but we've tried that initiative multiple times. It hasn't really worked out. So it's kind of, it's difficult.
I think, because this is sort of where I guess I come into the conversation, because you mentioned XPEvo. I'm here to guarantee that we do talk about other stuff, and despite that sounding mean, it's more about talking about you and Evo. But yeah, like hearing that from somebody who's at the helm sort of one of the biggest organizations within the game, it is obviously sad to hear for somebody who's passionate about competitive Trackmania, but it's also very understandable. And I think recent news like with G1 and Ferox and sort of stories and scandals like that just really don't help it. And I completely see your sort of point of view that it's not attractive at all as sort of an esports. And it's not really getting any better, is it?
No, I mean, to be fair with to the situations regarding G1 and Ferox, those are self-inflicted. That's not Trackmania's fault by any means.
No, of course.
That's not Nadeo's fault. And I know you're not saying that, but just so people are clear in understanding that that's not Nadeo's fault by any means, or the ecosystem. G1, I knew was going to be an issue from the get-go.
They absorbed a lot of staff from, what was the other? There was another org who were running women's carball in Rocket League. And there was a massive issue with that about them not paying staff and players who were competing in that. And then G1 came in and got basically took over women's carball, but also absorbed basically a lot of the staff who were causing those issues in the first place. And hey, here we are now.
I mean, I actually never knew about that. All I saw was American org NFL money. And when I see American org with professional sports investment, I immediately have red flags. Anybody who's League of Legends knows that anybody who's had teams, these teams that come in, they're typically funded by investors. Typically the investors who are just sports people who are like, I like video games, I played Call of Duty once. Like, they are not the people you want to be at the helm of an esports org. Sorry, not sorry. Maybe there's one team out there. I haven't really seen one yet.
I miss Rick Fox, all right? Echo Fox and Rick Fox.
Rick Fox was actually like
literally the exception, right? Like, I mean,
amazing.
We weren't good enough for Rick Fox. Esports did him dirty.
100%. Like, Rick Fox was literally what brought esports to the next level investor-wise.
Yeah.
And esports, rather than supporting him, embracing that, they bit the hand that fed them. And so now you have esports in this massive investment bubble that could crack at any moment. It is cracking. But anyways, I want to talk about G1 for a second, because this org triggers me to no end. I saw a team with NFL money, and I see them enter the Trackmania scene. I'm like, random NA org I haven't ever heard about. I look at their teams, Halo, Call of Duty. Another red flag for me. Sorry, not sorry. If you come from those two shooter games, and those are your primary teams, I have a feeling that you are either toxic or hard, filthy casual. I think I've been proven right for the most part. Like, they came in, and I'm like, I'm willing to give them a chance, because it's like, okay, they're trying to branch out. That's cool. I see who they pick, players. I'm like, French players, that makes sense. They're making a smart move. They know that somebody told them that, like, you should pick up the French players because they are going to perform well over so-and-so.
Yeah.
But then you get to the CEO. When we get to TMGL, the season, the first season, we get to the CEO and we get to Odablock, their streamer. Their CEO is like streaming in this rough setup, casting himself, doesn't even know anything about this game. People are trying to help him in the stream because, Trackmania community, we love helping people explaining the game. I think Trackmania is the community in Trackmania, sometimes a bit weird. Overall,
the best, I think, for any esport that I've ever been involved with. Like,
anybody that, like, especially when we were doing Trackhadia, like, Arcadia was baffled by how our community acted and how, like, we were very social and just super friendly with one another and the staff and everything. Trackhadia was Arcadia's only profitable LAN event. Out of all the LAN events they had in that year, we were the only profitable one, because we stuck around and we bought drinks and we hung out and we did things.
Yeah.
All the other communities, they played, they left, they went home.
Yeah.
They didn't want to talk to anybody. They were like, they were salty, whatever, who knows, but like they just didn't have that community like we have. It's very interconnected. Everybody knows each other for the most part. But yeah, G1 comes in, CEO, he has no idea what's happening. Odablock, good lord, that guy, like why? And I even hop into the CEO chat and I'm like, do you guys have any plans for casters? Like, do you guys have any plans for casters? You know, like a professional caster. He's like, we don't need casters.
Because I will say, I think like Trackmania as a game for like someone to jump on and stream, like if you were going to get a popular streamer to do one of your games, whether it was like having a co-stream for Rocket League or League of Legends or something like Trackmania, I think Trackmania is the best option to have a personality cast because they're going to miss a lot of nuance. But I mean, even if you don't pair them with someone who knows more, it's a game that if you are excited about and you're happy to be there, it's very easy, even as a casual viewer, to get excited about it. Because look, the car goes fast and someone's crashed out wildly or someone's beaten someone by a 1/10 of a second, and isn't this fun? And like, you can be missing stuff a little bit. But I definitely think as just like a way to reach a wider audience, like that can be a lot of fun. You know, like if you had Moist Critical, if you had Moist Esports pick up a Trackmania team,
but
I'd
he
love
would
to
be
watch
different.
his stream of
He would be different
because
though.
He'd be excited about his team. He'd learn a little bit, even if it was the bare minimum about the game, or he'd be trying to pick it up.
He
as
would be
went along.
supportive. First and foremost, he would be supportive of the team and like being like, you know, what they're doing is insane. I will say, slight point to the CEO, he did in his own way try. He tried a little bit, but the things he didn't try in was one, quality, highlighting his team properly, handing it over to Odablock, who is a relatively toxic RuneScape streamer. I have no problem saying that. Homie was legit getting his head shaven, shirtless, with his girlfriend during one of the playoff matches. My guy, when you're moderator for the mainstream, when the CEO was initially streaming the matches, moderator was like, what is this garbage wish.com Mario Kart game? When you have
it's not great.
When you have the Odablock, his very first stream, game title, Shitmania.
Yeah, there comes a point where you're like, guys, you're just actively hurting your own investment. Like, and it hurts for the rest of the community because, like, obviously you're by association damaging the product for everyone else, you know, tainting it by association, which is tough.
Yeah, I think obviously you initially said it, like the community tries to help, you know, on the first hand, you know, doesn't have any sort of expectations of people, you know, wants to welcome new people, any sort of exposure is good. But then sort of when you see that it's really not going that way and they're not making any sort of effort, it can turn into sort of, well, we don't like this at all. But on the flip side, I mean, Evo, getting back to Evo, on your guys' website, one of the main things that is listed is your core values. And sort of one of those is like transparency. I can't remember all the rest, but it's you know, a lot of sort of being like a quality organization, like you were saying, being transparent, you know, doing things right. Is that really something that you do with kind of everything that you do within the game?
It's what we try to do. I don't say that we necessarily do it with every single thing, but it's something that we consistently strive for. I'm the type of person, maybe publicly it may not show that way, or maybe it does. I don't really know, but I am the type of person who is honest to a fault. I know how to at least be professional, I think is the difference. So I can be honest to the fault. I can criticize your work ethic. I can criticize maybe your actions. But as a person, I personally will never criticize you. And it should be the same for Evo, where our actions should be criticizable, vice versa. The people, the characteristics, those are safe spaces. Everybody should be able to be accepted for who they are and what they do. And it should be high quality with everybody feeling like they're a part of something. I think XPEvo is an example of those core values where we're doing our best to not only provide you quality but transparency of what's occurring, what's happening when we can. When you work with a partner, unfortunately, you can't share every single detail, but there's always a meme, especially with like my podcast, is that imports leaking again. I'm leaking. We call it leaking. I call it transparency because I usually will say something if it's exciting, but also I know without a shadow of doubt that it's going to happen, or I will at least tamper it with saying, hey, this is not 100% confirmed, but you can likely expect something to occur. And that's how we handle it, not just XPEvo, but all of our events. So
there is, that minor worry whenever you're working in an esports space, or whenever you're kind of in charge of planning some things, and you have to be very upfront about that kind of thing as well. And as you say, as long as you consistently do that, and you're consistently saying, like, I will tell you when something is guaranteed or when it's not, because you do see those cases where someone says, hey, here's a thing that is probably going to happen, and unfortunately gets taken by some communities and run with, and they take it as gospel, and then it falls through, and they're like, well, you told us this was going to happen, how dare you lie to us like that? And as you say, that's one of the advantages of being transparent as often as possible, is people come to understand when you are promising something versus, hey, I'm just letting you know what we're trying to work on at the moment.
And for internally, it's also one of those things where you have, not only are you have to be transparent with the people outside, but you have to be transparent with the people inside.
Yeah.
And I feel like, especially internally, you have to be even more transparent, to the point where you may have to say something that somebody may not necessarily like or understand at the time, but you have to be brutally honest with people, especially when it comes to reputation. I hate the fact that, like, reputations have to be upheld in the sense of, like, you have to be so careful with what you say and what you do and everything, and you have to, like, even though it may come from a place of innocence, it may not be received in that manner. Quote an example, when I made a comment about the Asia Pacific region on my podcast, where I was explaining what the community felt, which was, I said the community felt like nobody knew who they were, and I used the term who Omega lol. They clipped that and they took that as me saying that I was saying who Omega lol, APAC region, like, bunch of freaking nerds, get over yourselves. Wasn't saying that, but it ended up that way. It was a major lesson for me. That was like, even though I wasn't saying it, I was trying to relay a message of somebody else saying it. It didn't matter. And
I mean, and the miscommunication. Like, look, I have my own miscommunication to apologize for back in EU Regional 1 during Stage 1, when Evo had multiple teams in the competition. And I think I said, man, this is what, like, Evo team number 30 or something? And it was taken.
I remember this.
Some people being like, oh, he's saying they're flooding the bracket. And I was like, to me, that was like, no, it's sick. Evo is supporting multiple teams and has multiple teams, and, like, said in a joking manner and moved on from. But it is one of those things where it's very easy to take things out of context.
I remember this. Let's talk about it real quick. Because I can tell you from our perspective, it wasn't you per se. It was the fact that you said something that had been told to us multiple times and was made fun of to us multiple times. And it's not that we're super sensitive, but people would create this narrative about us that we were just trying to flood brackets so that we could get somebody.
Me unknowingly, like,
unknowingly,
just putting my foot right into it, fueling that narrative. And you know what, Import? We talked about it before streams. Who doesn't love a good storyline? All right, I will play. I'll play the heel in any Evo story you need me to. Okay, listen, I'd be a great wrestling.
Funny thing is, though, what you said was completely harmless. I mean, other people have said things. I mean, Virtual still somehow thinks that we, like, pre-train all our Cup of the Day maps. Like, he thinks that we somehow have an unfair advantage in Cup of the Days, that we just, like, somebody sends them to us and we get to play them. And, like, if anybody plays Cup of the Day, you don't see Evo names at the top, like, except for Ice, because we have a dedicated Ice community. Like,
I mean, look,
or full speed.
Let's move on from drama before we say anything else that's good. Like, we've apologized for what we have to. Let's talk about unfair head starts. Europe versus North America. I mean, what's the North American scene doing at the moment? You know, they're playing catch up at the moment, obviously, as well, but they have been growing massively. Trackmania 2020 has been really good. And so how much interaction, I guess I'm asking, do you have with the North American community? Obviously, a lot of your playtime, like when you've been playing the game, has been here in Europe, playing with Germans and stuff. Are there many American players in Evo in general?
There's, I would say, about 15 to 20%.
You have Lingo, which is...
we have Lingo, we have XLRB.
Enough North American for anyone.
I mean, for full speed community, we have Don't Care and a CD. For like everything mapping, we have XLRB. We have Lingo for, like, obviously play and everything. We have some lesser known members like Echo and Quilo. Droxy, who's all the graphics that you've been seeing for XPEvo North American. Droxy's been killing it with the graphics. And like the graphics that you'll be seeing on stream will be a large majority from Droxy. So like we have a good representation of NA and Evo. As far as NA and Trackmania, it's a bit in the mud. I don't see NA Trackmania really going anywhere.
That's because just because that's interesting, because to me it feels like it's already kind of gone somewhere with Trackmania 2020 versus the previous games. Like it is
fair.
A much larger presence, significantly more competitive players, to the point where it's not just Carl Jr. and everyone. Like it is to a degree still Carl Jr. and everywhere else, but that's true of the entire Trackmania scene, right? Like it is Carl Jr. and all of those other players.
We don't claim Carl Jr. He's basically French.
Just
I say we, but the North Americans don't even claim me. I'm claimed by the Germans. So, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, in Trackmania 2020, NA has at least like grown.
It has a presence now.
There is a presence now. And if you want to compare it to the other minor regions, NA is the second largest presence. Casual player wise, which is no surprise here, that NA casuals, like casual player base, is actually US players and has risen over French players, because #4fun region. But outside of like that, when I think of growth, I think of competitive growth. And what I see talented players. Don't get me wrong. I think like Neil, Nixotica's been around for a while, but like Neil and Novastar, Have? No, not Have.
North.
Somebody else, and they're gonna hate me.
I mean, not to just bring up Lingo again, but given he shows up in every competition I ever see.
Honestly, I forget about Lingo all the time. It's kind of funny.
He's kind of omnipresent. Like, you know, I turn on any stream, I turn on any competition, you're like, oh, there's Lingo near the top of the leaderboard.
Because he plays during majority of like European time zones, so he's like always on. So I always like kind of. He's also Quebec, so also like French, like you know, like.
But this is, you know, there is a decent crop of competitive players, and in order to have any kind of competitive growth, you do need multiple players kind of pushing each other. And the issue again being, for so long there was Carl Jr. and then to a degree kind of who, right? Like, I mean, there was a few, like as you say, Nixotica's been around for a while and stuff, but the game has grown and there is an actual competitive scene that you can point to and say there is a decent player base here. There is a lot of good players now coming up, and good players push each other. I mean, we've seen that in the British Irish Trackmania community, right? Like just massive improvement even over the last year or so from a lot of players, because people like competing against their friends, and you make friends and then you compete against them.
I need to apologize initially to the British Irish community. I've already done it before, but I'm going to do it again. In 2022, when some of the British players, specifically Babz, Acros, and Jorday, joined the Dirt Weekly, I was like, you know, the British Irish community is like kind of unknown, you know? Like nobody really knows who they are and what they're doing. I'm so sorry.
I mean, like in the same way North America had Carl and then kind of who, I feel like British and Irish Trackmania for a little while had kind of and then who. Like
I learned immediately after that week, because all I saw, because at the time we had Berserk in our community for that very small period of time. He like showed us what was being said in the BITM Discord, and I was like, oh crap, like my bad. But yeah, no, North America, I think is like, the issue with North America is like there is a slightly competitive side, but the issue is that you don't have a group. You have a group trying. I would say like the Alamo team community are trying to like do stuff, but I just don't think they have the sauce or like the special ingredient to be able to make their events successful. I think there just needs to be a major player to be able to like encompass the North American community and get them to like start taking things a little bit more seriously. But again, we're talking about North America. It's a fun per hour type of culture. I come from it. My motto is fun per hour. So like, I understand, like when I'm spending time on my computer, it is my time to relax, and I just want to have as much fun as possible. And if something becomes stressful or annoying, it's not as fun. Now, I am a very competitive individual as well. So for me, I'm able to stick through and like push through it. That's why I find myself much more at home here in Europe, and especially European esports, because everybody takes it a little bit more seriously compared to everybody else. And so, but average American, average competitive American, it's very passive. And so when you have a passive community, you have to be able to corral that passiveness and make it something more active. And
it
not
feels
easy.
like their best chance to success in some ways then is getting a very big North American Trackmania streamer. Like someone just becomes a big North American. I mean, look, that's the way of North American esports in a lot of ways,
Sure.
right? Is you need a big streamer kind of being the face of it. It's also true in Europe as well. You know, virtual, scrappy, spammy guys like this are big faces for the game and have been big ambassadors for the game at Trackmania. And there's just that's lacking a little bit in North America.
They had one at one point, or two technically. I mean, you could. I'm not going to count Lyric because Lyric likes Trackmania, but he's not a Trackmania personality.
Yeah.
He plays it for fun on the occasion, but his stream hates it, so he goes back to make
I
some
think
money.
Ludwig to a degree kind of a similar thing where he's played Trackmania a couple of times, but he's not a Trackmania streamer.
I remember though Northern Lion was
that's true.
Yeah,
I've watched
Northern
those
Lion.
videos. God, I love Northern Lion. I'm so glad we brought him up. Can we just talk about Northern Lion for the next hour?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, for me personally, I don't really know him. I still don't really know of him that much.
Yeah.
I've watched some of his streams. I noticed that he played a lot of Trackmania, especially at the very first year of Trackmania 2020, and then it just kind of faded off. I don't know where he disappeared to.
He's just a variety streamer as well. Ultimately, like he tends to stick with a game for a month or two and then move on to something else. And he's not a competitive gamer. He's very much a casual gamer.
I'll blame that another thing on American culture too. We just like if somebody's playing the same game over and over again, unless they're like a pro, nobody cares. If they're a variety streamer, it just triggers that ADHD part in our brains that just like, okay, this is something new. I'm interested. I'm gonna watch. But unless you're like, at least for me, and I know all my friends and like majority of university students, like majority of us did not care unless somebody was actually good at the game. So
yeah.
Living vicariously through our streamers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
hey, Babz.
Yeah, I'm here, and I do apologize. I haven't been very active today. It's probably just the heat, but
I talk too much. It's okay.
Oh, don't worry. You guys are both casters. I'm just here to.
We're absolutely just bullying you out of this podcast.
No. I'm here to. Well, I'm here for one thing mainly, and a lot of people who watch the podcast regularly will know exactly what it is. Import, I noticed you in the chat in the previous episodes, so you might know where we're getting at. But you mentioned your competitiveness and your spirit to succeed.
Is this the time to mention I'm not a very competitive person? I'm just not very good.
It's much too late for that. You have accepted the role, and we're going to indulge both of those qualities by going straight into the Cuppa quiz.
Oh boy!
So we are gathered here today
to
test
hide Twitch chat.
your knowledge and your understanding of a topic that was chosen at random. Probably should have been considered for a longer period of time before doing so, because today we're going to talk about the city of Cologne. And I thought this was interesting, well, obviously because XPEvo is going to be happening there, and then I thought it was interesting because Import has an upper hand on Nua, probably. Which is quite
maybe
nice.
We'll see. I don't know. I could be typical
Berlin
American.
a couple of weeks ago. Okay, I've been to Germany before.
I could be a typical American and just be terrible at any questions you have. So you know.
Well, to be fair, people are mostly terrible at the questions that I have. So
he did. What was the question that you asked Bren? That was like, how much area?
No, we're not getting back to that one.
How much area of beer does Ireland produce every year? Now, Import, what's the issue with that question? Just right off the bat. Beer is a liquid. It doesn't have an area. It has a volume.
You lost me when you started asking the question. So I mean,
no, that's fair. I'm just Babz. I think you robbed Bren on that one.
I think you're just trying to make excuses straight out of the bat because you know you're probably going to lose this one. And I mean, on that note, I'm going to have to impose my authority, and I am the quizmaster, so we are going to get straight into it. The way this is going to work is I'm going to ask you both a question each in turn. There'll be 3 questions on both sides. Each question is worth 2 points, and where possible, a steal can happen. So if you get the answer wrong, your opponent can get a point if they get the answer right. Everybody understand the rules?
Yes, and I have watched Quizmaster, so surely it's the same thing.
Exactly the same thing. Nua, question number
Yes.
1. This is a true or false question.
Oh.
The city of Cologne's Catholic cathedral is the tallest cathedral in the world. True or false?
False. There's got to be that one in Lisbon or something. Like, there's taller cathedrals out there.
There isn't. It is the tallest cathedral in the world and the third tallest church in the world. I can tell you that it is globally recognized. It is a globally recognized landmark and one of the most visited sites and pilgrimages in Europe. So there we are.
Wow.
It's over for me.
Yeah. So no points, and that's probably your easiest question. So I'm sorry about that.
And I've been excommunicated.
But that means that we do not have a point in the first question. But heading over to import, your first question is also a true or false question, and I want you to answer me this: true or false? Cologne.
Wait, you didn't offer import the chance to steal. Sorry, I'm just.
It's a true or false question.
I just want the chance to steal if he gets his wrong.
No.
I said where possible. It's not possible with a true or false question. There's two answers. Getting into imports questioning and avoiding the distractions of the other Irishmen on the podcast. True or false? Cologne has consistently ranked as one of the most bicycle-friendly cities in Germany.
False.
False is the correct answer. In 2014, it ranked 36th out of 39 German cities in an independent evaluation conducted by the, I'm not going to pronounce it, some association that is in German, and I'm not going to make a fool of myself.
I think
but
it's
that means...
Munster that's like the most, like one of the most, but like it Cologne. I'll explain the answer to this because the majority of German cities are not very bicycle friendly. They're still way more bicycle friendly than like the US, for example, which is very automobile focused.
Yep.
But as the closer you get to the Netherlands, the more bicycle friendly it becomes. But yeah, no.
I had a great time in Berlin zipping around on an electric scooter because hey, at least the Germans
They
follow
banned those
traffic
now.
signals.
They're banning those now.
Oh, I made it just in time.
Yep.
Sound logic from both of you. Now, question number 2 for Nua. Which French phrase does Germany Travel use to describe the city of Cologne on their website? I'm going to give you 3 possibilities. Is it A,
okay.
Cologne, a certain je ne sais quoi? Is it B, Cologne, a joie de vivre at its finest? Or is it C, Cologne, truly la vie en rose?
I'm glad you gave me options because my first thought was just c'est bon ça.
C'est Cologne, huh?
I think it's going to be C, truly la vie en rose.
Unfortunately, it's not the correct answer. It is.
Wait,
Well,
I don't get a
I'm not
steal
going to say.
this?
I'm not going to say what it is. I was just about to give the correct answer, and we all paused at the correct time. Import. You have the chance to steal. Is it A, Cologne, a certain je ne sais quoi, or is it B, Cologne, joie de vivre at its finest?
Okay.
For 1 point.
I'm going to make it give you lore that I'm going to assume is correct, but it's not going to be correct. Knowing my chances, but because I know that Germans are very straightforward and typically pretty boring, they're going to use the most cliche phrase on the planet, and that is going to be a certain je ne sais quoi.
I mean, you know the German people well, but apparently not well enough because the correct answer is
good.
B.
All right, I'm glad.
What you missed there, Import, is that the Germans would never admit to not knowing something.
That's true. That's true.
So no points across the board, but Import, we're heading over to your second question. So the town, I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory. So the town of Cologne's, their football club, FC Cologne, is nicknamed, and I'm going to try to pronounce this, Die Goatbocke, something like that. The Billy Goats is basically the translation.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me true or false. It refers to the club's mascot, a male goat named Hennis, after the veteran player and later manager Hennis Weisweiler. The current mascot is Hennis IX as of 1st of August 2019 after Hennis VIII was retired by the club due to old age. Is that true or false?
That's so much information.
You don't know me, Import. You don't know my quiz.
That's so much information.
I will not repeat the question.
So oddly specific and like Die Geistbocke. Okay. I can read it now, so now I'm like, okay, die Geissbucke.
Just
Okay.
Chris, I noticed the entire question hasn't been typed out on screen. Can we just go ahead and fix that real quick?
Right? Where's those supporting details? Really mad. No. All right. Crap. Like, okay, I remember most of the facts that you gave, which is after a person, blah blah blah, they did something cool, great. Oh, it was after a goat. Great. That makes it even better. My gut, I'm gonna ignore it, and I'm gonna say true.
You took the correct approach. It is true. I could never have made up such an amazing story. I just thought it was brilliant, and even if I couldn't make a question out of it, I just wanted to mention it on stream.
I thought there was like at least half a chance that it was going to be like, no, we're only on the 8th goat, you fool.
No, I would not be that.
It was just so specific.
So specific.
It wasn't like oddly specific, but it was very specific and detailed. That I was like, you have to be really creative to make up a story like that, and I would be insanely impressed. And like,
I'm not
Babz,
I'm
you're
not saying
creative.
I'm not
saying
creative,
oh,
no.
holy crap.
Babz,
I'm
you're
not
not
saying you're not
creative.
creative. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying like
Babz Humegalol.
like you have to be like a literary like genius to kind of like make up a story like that that's believable. So like people on Reddit who make Am I the Asshole subreddits. So.
No, they just use ChatGPT.
That's true.
Okay, moving on to question number 3. This is your last individual question, Nua. We've only had one correct answer for the moment, so hopefully
We've only
we can
had
change that.
one opportunity to steal, I noticed as well, and it was on my question. So
I've heard a lot of criticism coming from your camp from the start, really.
know.
And I really don't appreciate it, I'm not going to lie. But question number 3, nonetheless. Cologne is divided into 9 different boroughs. Which of the following is not a borough of Cologne, but simply the surname of a player in the German women's football team?
Babz.
You're screwed.
Babz.
Oh gosh.
Is it A?
Pain.
Actually, no, we don't have the... can we get import to actually read out the answers? Is it A?
I'll have to wait. Is it Schorweiler?
B?
B is Ehrenfeld?
Feel like this
Or
is, that guy who
C.
approaches someone on the street and is just like, name a woman!
C,
Name a woman!
C is Oberdorf?
Ooh,
So is it- A, B, or C is not a borough of Cologne.
I can tell you which one it is.
yeah, I feel like Oberdorf is an actual German surname, but maybe it's not. I
think I could be.
I'm just gonna go with C. I'm gonna go with Oberdorf is a German surname.
I mean, import is doubting you, but falsely accusing you of getting the wrong answer because you have gotten the correct answer. It is Oberdorf. Lena Oberdorf, 21-year-old midfielder in the women's German football team.
Of course, Lena. Would I've gotten a bonus point if I gave you her first name, which I knew for sure?
Probably not, considering the criticism you've been giving me.
That's why I didn't do it then.
All right. And I mean, heading over to import, you said he was screwed at the start of this question, and I mean, I'll just read out the question.
I forgot it was a multiple choice, so that's why I thought it was screwed, but it's okay.
Import, you might recognize this question. Cologne is divided into 9 different boroughs. Which of the following is not a borough of Cologne, but simply the surname of a player in the German women's football team?
Crap.
Is it A?
Oh, do you want me to read them out this time?
Yeah, go on, yeah.
Oh.
All right, it's Innenstadt,
Yeah, or is it B?
Lol.
Freigang,
Or is it C?
Nips.
Nips.
Or Nippers. Okay, it's gonna be B or C because A is the inner city. That's literally the German word for inner city.
I just like that word.
Yeah, Innenstadt,
It's a cool word.
Altstadt, yeah.
All the stats.
All the Stadts. Freigang is an actual word for like free walkway, essentially. And then Nippes is not a word I recognize in German, which would lead me to believe that it is a last name. However, based on last question, where Schorweiler would be a last name, Oberdorf, which would be a town name, was the actual answer. So, based on this,
I knew I recognized it from somewhere.
frick, bro. I'm gonna say B.
You're going with B.
It's probably Nippas, isn't it?
Oh, you're correct with Freigang. It is the correct answer. It is not a borough of Cologne.
Ugh.
It is actually the surname of Laura Freigang, the 25-year-old forward. I apologize. From the German women's football team, which puts you in the lead 4-2. And I said you both had 3 questions, but there is one last question left. And dramatically, this one is worth 3 points.
Had to check the scores and do some quick maths there, Babz, was it?
Yeah, it's worth 3 points, and this one is going to be for the both of you, and it's going to be closest wins. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory. You're going to give me an answer in turn. I'm probably going to let Import go first, giving his answer. But anyway, I'll get on with the question. So FC Cologne that I mentioned earlier on, the football team from the famous town, are 3-time national champions, winning the 1962 German Football Championship as well as the Bundesliga twice, first in its inaugural season of 1963 and 64, then again in 1977 and 78. The team plays in its home matches at the Rhein Energie Stadion? Energie Stadion. I need you to tell me, what is the total capacity of the stadium?
No, I believe that's Cuppa City. Chris made a typo.
I'll correct my notes.
So are we
Chris.
playing this game where whoever's the closest wins?
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
the
I
winner
feel
gets
like
3
I
points.
should be at a disadvantage because I'm currently losing. So if you want me to go first, I
Go
will,
ahead.
so that
Go
you
add.
can.
I'll let
I
you go
feel like
first.
that's fair, right?
I
Is
think
that
it's
I
fair.
have the disadvantage.
It's the one and only time I'll agree with you and let you make rules.
FC, I've heard of the Cologne football team.
Yeah.
They're a team.
I've mentioned them previously, so you probably have heard of them. Yeah.
That's also true. I'm going to say that the Bundesliga has,
As opposed to the Bundesliga B.
yes, has some decent stadiums. I'm going to say 30,000.
30,000
Oh,
for
that
the
was close to
town
what I was gonna say.
of Cologne. Many have come before you, Import. Many have fallen. Many have graced the.
Very few to me, it has to be said.
Many have graced the steps of victory, and I wonder, will you be among them with a correct answer here?
Is it a flat number, or do I have to be very specific?
It's closest win, so I'll let you.
Okay.
You can just go one number either side of me, and then just guess
Yeah,
higher or lower. Basically,
I could Price is Right you right now.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say 32,000. So that was my initial guess at the beginning. So
Wouldn't it be amazing if it was 31,000? How incredible would that be? Unfortunately, it's not the case, and the actual capacity is 50,000 people. It is a massive win for Import. Gets 3 points, like I said at the start of the question.
Yeah.
A comprehensive victory, 7-2. I mean, I feel like the score doesn't tell the full story of this this battle, but nonetheless,
That's interesting because
been a
I
good
do.
one.
I do feel like it tells the full story of what's going on here. Yeah, I was going to say I think if I was going to go over or under mine, I was probably going to go over. So fair enough. It's a deserved win. Congratulations, Import, on defeating me.
oh well, I enjoyed defeating you.
Yeah, listen,
I
all right.
think.
Agreed.
I just want you to know it's on site at XPEvo now.
Oh, okay, that's great.
And hey, should we talk about XPEvo?
We
Yeah, I
definitely
think-
can talk about XPEvo. I'm down.
Let's move on from this historic battle to another
Go on.
imminent historic battle, which is going to happen in the city of Cologne.
Mhm.
And I think probably an event that a lot of people are looking forward to. It's probably the most exciting thing we have in the community at the moment.
Don't tell me that.
And
Don't tell me that.
definitely on the forefront of everybody's minds. Everybody's got so many expectations. You know, if you mess anything up, it will be looked at closely. No, I I am over exaggerating.
No, you're not. That's the thing. You're not.
God.
I've been
No.
told like, oh, we're so excited. This is going to be the best thing ever since sliced bread, and I'm like, I mean, I hope.
And sliced bread was pretty good, but yeah, I mean, obviously, import. Your name is synonymous with Evo, and sort of from the start, you've been
Don't tell the admins that.
from the start. You've been. I guess for me, maybe the face of sort of the event, in some way. So like, what sort of has been your role, I guess, within this whole organizational aspect from the start of the sort of project?
I mean, it's very heavy. I will say though that like he said I have to say this. He is actually like sitting out here with a gun to my head. No, but he is Atomic, who is from Norway. He has been my co-organizer for this event. So I definitely want to give him like he's been project manager trying to like coordinate everything. He's been really good at reminding me to do things. I am doing a big chunk of the work, specifically when it comes to all the networking, the partnership handling, as well as gathering all the production and the casters together, which, to be honest, is like insane to me how like
Herding
supportive.
cats.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, but like I mean from a perspective of just like everybody's so willing and to help and understanding. Like I have to, I can't stress this enough, and I stress this to everybody here, and they're shocked when some people are straight up shocked when I say this. None of us are getting paid to do this. We are being able to have this event at Experion at zero cost. So not only am I not getting paid, but I'm also not paying a single dime. And everything that is being produced for XPEvo is by the passion and the willingness of the community to help have a great event for everyone. So, and yes, we have ticket sales and everything. Those are to cover the event costs. When I got the itemized bill of everything, it was a $45,000 event. That's if, of course, they charge us for everything normally would typically charge people. But this is a very deeply partnered event. A lot of the stuff is internal. So like those costs go way down, but they still have operational costs for their staff and all the equipment that we're using. So there has to be a makeup of some sort of that. So they have helped us with the price pool. They brought Lenovo in as a sponsor. Yeah. We brought in Nadeo as a $500 sponsor, which I still appreciate Nadeo even doing, because honestly, like they didn't have to do that. And though they're providing merch for us, so like I really appreciate Tona, and Softy and them for like doing such a cool thing for us. But everybody's like come together and done this together, and yeah, it's just it's insane. Just kind of like, not only that, just it's insane to me. It's hard to fathom. But the original question was, what am I doing? I'm doing that, networking, also doing a lot of the partnership handling, like I said, with the Twitch streamers, the influencers, which the lineup of influencers and players that we have. Honestly, I think we're almost beating out Arctic Gaming Experience at this point, minus maybe a couple of the French players. Like the lineup that we have, the player list that we have, which we haven't even released the player list yet, which we will be doing hopefully next week, I think. So you'll get to see who is all attending as a player, VIP wise as well. Like the list is insane. I never expected it to get to this point. I was expecting to exceed Tracadia numbers. Tracadia, we had 150 people. We had a couple pro players, maybe 6, plus a couple Challenger League players. Feed and Enter, who are Challenger League, also coming back to defend their top 3 titles. But yeah, it's Tracadia was 150 people. It was a 2,300 prize pool. We've doubled the prize pool. We've doubled the attendance already. I can tell you right now that we have over confirmed tickets over 300. Insane. Insane. Like 150 to 300, we've doubled it already. We have more. We're even doubling the attendance from North America. North America had 2 people, which was XLRB and Don't Care. And now we have, I think, 4 or 5 people coming from North America to this event, which is kind of crazy, considering how much money those plane tickets cost.
There's your North American community growth right there.
It's growth. We're helping. We're doing
it's competitive growth.
But like just to go from now, and we haven't even started the event, and we're already surpassing what Tracadia was, which brings even more insane pressure to deliver, especially even on stream quality and everything. We had a very basic stream setup. I mean, it was still a cool setup. We had a host studio, and then we had the caster studio. Kind of a similar thing that we're doing, but we actually have a stage with an arena. Tracadia didn't have a stage with an arena. They had 4 desks, and the LAN center behind it, there was no stage. There was no viewing area. Everybody had a view in the bar that was completely separated. The VIP situation that we have is 3 times the space. We're actually giving them proper food instead of little crackers. Like, just everything. I'm flabbergasted by it all. So, yeah.
And I will, just having been thank you for inviting me as a caster. I'm looking
Of
forward
course.
to it as well.
I tried to get you last year, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, there is
But
that
now I
as
got
well.
to do it this year.
Yeah, no, and I'm looking forward to it. And I will say, obviously, it's stressful. It's a big project that you guys are organizing. So far, one of the best managed projects I've been a part of in like almost any walks of esports, and that's project small, large, or whatever. Like, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you guys and seeing how it's all being run behind the scenes. I've been at some events very recently that should have been well run, given that they were at quite large conventions, but didn't go so hot. So it's been really refreshing seeing how seriously, as you said, you guys are taking it, the openness, the transparency on all fronts, internally and externally where possible, and just putting together what's looking to be a very exciting event. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very, very good.
I hope it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that I will be able to enjoy it just like everybody else. I will be panicking, at least for the first day for sure. Friday, you will see me panic. You will see anxiety on my face all the way from Tuesday all the way to
You can't
Friday.
forget the sleep deprivation, because I am going to be sleeping in the same house.
Surprisingly, I probably won't have much of an issue with sleeping, because
it's the snoring. It's the snoring is mostly what I'm talking about. It's gonna be bad,
well,
and I apologize for that.
We'll put the snores in the same room.
I
do not enjoy snoring.
No, I know, and this was like Import messaged me whenever it was like a couple of months ago, and was like, "Hey, the XPEvo, and there's going to be a house if you want to jump in there as well." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." First thing I said was like, "I do snore sometimes. Just as a heads up, it's bad."
Yeah, no,
it'll be fine.
But we'll put you in a room with the other foghorn blowers. Yeah, no, I've already got my roomies. I've already got my roomies planned. I like grilled them. I was like, the question is, do you snore? And they were like, I snore lightly. And I like Atomic. I've stayed in a hotel room with him before. I think I'm staying with Turbo as the other person. And Turbo's like, hey, I breathe heavy. I was like, yeah, I breathe heavy too. That's fine. As long as we breathe heavy together, we're fine. But like,
it's caused me to develop worse sleep habits, because I think anytime I'm in a room with someone, because I'm aware that I might snore, you know, I'm very bad for then like staying up my phone, because you don't want to fall asleep first if you're the person who might snore, right? Like that's just rude. So then I stay up later on my phone, and then that carries over back home. It's a whole thing. But we don't need to talk about my sleep habits here, because it's far too much to get into. There was a question there from our producer Chris, who nearly got through the quiz error-free. Specifically just asking, what does success look like then for this event? Because obviously it is already a success, but for you, for the entire team at Evo, what will you be coming out of the other side saying, yes, that went well?
If honestly, for me, maybe it's simple, maybe it's not, but to be able to deliver on what we've said is going to happen. Maybe not everything, because I fully expect something. Like I'm very pessimistic. You'll be like, Import, you should be more positive. No, I like being real. That's where the transparency of our quality values come through. There you go, another plug for that. But like I try to be as realistic as possible. Shoot for the stars, but like come back down and visit Earth every once in a while, you know? And for me, like if we reach 75%, I think is a decent number of everything that we have planned. That is a success to me. Or even just over half of what we do. The biggest concerns I have for me personally are making sure that the tournament side runs smoothly, because that can be a big effect to others. As far as the stream, I have full confidence in our production team that the stream will be fine no matter what. Just from what I've seen and what we're planning and the way XPEvo, our director, Ravel and XPEvo, Ravel's handling the visual mixing, Larai is handling the auto mixing. XPEvo, he's doing the directing of the entire thing. And what I've seen just from XPEvo's outline has me full confidence because the production from Tricadia last year, while it looked nice and it was serviceable in my opinion, like it was good for Trackmania production, it was amazing, all right, but like for my standards, it was serviceable. And
I feel like that's such a thing from inside a broadcast is like it looks great and everyone's like, wow, that went really well, and you're like just sitting there going like, I see so many things we could improve.
I was running around, so the production studio was upstairs, everybody was downstairs. The elevator was not. You could use the elevator, but the elevator it was an elevator from like the 60s or 70s. It was old. It did not like move. The speed that it needed to, it did not move. So you had to run downstairs and like just even see what was going on, and then you had to run immediately back upstairs. I would be told one thing in my ear of like, hey, we're going to break, and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, you're having an interview. Or like, hey, we're gonna have an interview now. No, we're actually gonna go on break for an hour. It was so unorganized from the beginning. Vemzer, if you guys are watching, I'm sorry, I love you, but like you know my complaints already. It was very unorganized from the beginning, and it stayed that way to the end. Eventually, we got into a groove where it's like no matter what came at us, we were pretty much mentally prepared for it. Man, I'm so much more confident with XPEvo because we have a docket. It's way like even from the get-go, we have an outline that is way more specific than what the Tricadia line was. Like XPEvo has it by minutes, right? He has like 5 minutes here, 35 minutes here. And I'm like, finally, some actual like what we're gonna do piece by piece. Even if we don't make it, that's fine. That's not the point of that. It's like to have something fully structured,
a roadmap that you can get back to if things go off the rails as well.
Tricadia was start stream, round of 64, round of 32, then interviews came out of nowhere, and I was like, I feel so bad. All right, so small tangent. Nina Dor. For those, some of you may know Nina Dor, some of you may not. She's a Tricadia streamer. I did not know who Nina Dor was. They bring her in, and I'm like, they're like, yeah, we're gonna have you do an interview with Nina Dor. I'm like, cool. I have no idea who this is. I'm like, she sits down. She's like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, hi. Okay. I'm gonna be honest. I am so sorry. Could you explain to me who you are and what you do? Because I didn't know if they were a Trackmania streamer. I didn't know if they were somebody from Arcadia. Like, I had no idea. And she was like, it's okay. She explained it to me. And then once we went on the interview live and everything, I made a self-deprecating joke. I was like, who are you? And just to clear the air and make things fun. And she was a super good sport about it. Now me and Nina Dort, we're good. We know each other. And my goal for this, personal goal for XPEvo this year is to know everyone, at least the major personalities at first, and even in the up and comer rising ones, and not to mix forever and mime as the other.
You're setting truly impossible goals for yourself there. I mean, just very, very, very difficult. I want to just touch it briefly on the detailed run a show thing, because I feel like a lot of people have not worked for a big event or done production or things like that. And you're absolutely right. Those things need to be so much more detailed than you think they do. Like, I've helped create run a shows. I've worked on shows with I've been given a run a show. And down to the 30-second increment sometimes. Here we're doing a 30-second intro, there's a 15-second video, we're doing 45 seconds of X talk, we're moving into 2 minutes of this talk on a panel, fully down to the minute on how things are going. And it's the peace of mind that you get from that, because most of the time you're not going to fully stick to it, especially in longer panel segments or things like that. Things get a bit more free flow. But just having that to stick to and timings to stick to, and when you're going over, so where you can steal time back later. Oh, I love it. It's just so good.
Yeah,
And that's why, like I say, like everything that I've heard working with you guys, hearing from you guys on this event, I've been like, yes, these are the things that I would want to be happening, you know, a month out from the event. These are the things I want to be happening 2 weeks out from the event, which is, yeah, it's great.
I appreciate that. Babz, I know you had something.
I mean, you're running the show basically. No, I mean, obviously, you guys from the inside, you kind of know what's kind of going on. And from the outside, it seems like, you know, it is well organized, like Nuo was saying. Obviously, there's only so much good organization you can do with such a big team, and it sounds like you're also like you have to be with these sort of projects, be in the mindset, be prepared for stuff to go wrong, and just know that that's going to happen. And it seems like, yeah, obviously the expectations are good, and just to sort of have a good event, have everybody satisfied, you know, and put on a good show. And I wanted to know, I was a bit curious if there's any sort of greater ambition with the LAN in general. If you're thinking, are we just doing this one LAN and then we'll see what we want to do, or is there a plan to maybe have this reoccurring and maybe make it a big sort of impact on the competitive calendar?
I wish I had some like really cool ambition. Unfortunately, I'm kind of
Fill
like
out the Accor Arena by this time next year,
I
right?
I can only
It's the
see
Raider
three.
Who.
So without I'm wearing contacts right now, and this will be the best analogy I've ever thought of in my life. It won't be, but I wear contacts. I'm legally blind without contacts. I can only see a fixed distance of 3 inches or like a centimeter. I don't know meters.
It's
Things.
like 9 centimeters, yeah,
9 centimeters, something
metric
like that.
or
So like
whatever.
3 inches is basically just like almost a finger length in front of my face, fixed distance. That is me in XPEvo. Anything besides that, or way too soon for that, I'm blind to. I mean, of course, It would be cool to like expand on XPEvo. Like, I mean, we have the ambition to continue it again the following year, and hopefully with this, as if it runs successfully in the way that is planned, it's a perfect catalyst to basically take what was good, which would hopefully be a lot of it, and then bring it forward, and then not only that, but have more negotiating power in the future. And what I say by negotiating power, like, I don't want to be like, Experion, now that we had a successful event, give me all this money. That's not going to work. They're not going to. No business is ever going to go for that. But to be able to be like, hey, this was very successful for. Well, first, make sure that Experion's happy, because like we can be happy all we want to. The community can be happy all we want to, but it has to be profitable and worthwhile for Experion, because Experion, they play a big game. They have ties with when IEM Cologne was in there. They were doing stuff for IEM Cologne. Gamescom is happening right now. Big stuff happening with Gamescom for them. They also have their own events, and they have a CSGO team, which is Experion Next, I believe. And they are making big moves for themselves. And for us to make an imprint, not only do we have to impact them as a community and be like, hey, we're different, we're unique, but also we bring value. And in order to be able to bring value, as much as I hate to say it, it is numbers. It is showing up in full force, but not only showing up in full force, but utilizing the amenities that Experion has. For example, I can go ahead and announce now that some people were asking if there would be drinks and whatnot. We finally just got the approval from the Cologne city government that we can sell alcohol at the events. So there will
drunk
be
on broadcast.
There will be. I mean, so we just got this. We just got this information today. So you'll be able to have you'll be able to have. I believe beer is going to be at a low or almost nothing cost, but long drinks are going to be available as well. I'm just going to say this: at Tricadia, we made Arcadia panic because they were out of alcohol by like Sunday. So if we could repeat that, I think we would have all the value in the world. So let's do that.
Yeah, like, look, if there were any of the members of the British Irish Trackmania community who were on the fence about going to XPEvo, you know, picking up tickets at this point, you have just announced on the British and Irish podcast that there will be cheap beer at the event. Like,
yes,
right pace to announce it, you know?
We will show up.
yeah. And VIPs, you get free beer. So
Brother, what? Jesus, that's
Yeah.
dangerous.
So
That's one of the things that you mentioned, you know, taking things from projects and if they work well, then bring them forward. And that's one of the sort of aspects that you've taken from Trackmania is that sort of ticket type format with the basic, the tournament entry, and the VIP, which has worked quite well. And one last thing I wanted to, one of the last things I wanted to touch on, was, and I have forgotten what I wanted to say. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about the map testing event that you just recently hosted just last week, and that's something a bit new that that we haven't seen in the community, sort of at least in recent history. Really using maybe the personalities and their sort of attract to bring attention to the event, which I really found quite cool. How do you think that went, and sort of were you satisfied with that?
I'm gonna be honest. I was a little panicked at the beginning because Masa had some very unkind words to me before the event. Basically, at initial, and I'll explain why. It's not like Masa was like really super being mean to me. He had a fair point. He had fair points, and we listened to him. Initially, for the event, we were only going to do the event and then release the map pack a week later. My initial idea, because you have to understand from an organizer perspective, our goal, whether it sounds cringy or weird or not, I have to keep people's mind on my events. Because when people's mind is on my events, that means they are likely to come. And the more tickets we sell, the more successful that event will be, and that event will be able to continue.
More engagement, the more you're at front.
More engagement in general. And like, for example, my goal right now, so I've already surpassed my goals. Now we're at the extras of my GoFundMe campaign, right? The GoFundMe campaign being like for everyone, not for me. That was probably the best thing. Now somebody's gonna be like, import's taking all the money. No, I'm not. Still getting paid 0, so it's fine. The goal is I would like to see upwards to 500 people, because at that point Xperion will still have their public spaces open on the main floor. So that means there will be still people being able to use the PCs from the general public, because for those who haven't been to Xperion, it is a LAN center that is open to everybody. You have the upper floor that are PCs. You don't have to sign in. You don't have to pay for nothing. You go in there, you hop on a PC, you play video games. Downstairs, escalator downstairs is an 18+ area. That's where all the FPS games are and everything. Because Germany has weird laws with FPS games, whatever. So yeah, but you can hop in, play games without any like restriction. It's weird. At the same time, though, the reason why they do that is because Xperion is owned by Saturn and MediaMarkt, which is a store. And so as you go through the venue, you see all these themed booths for different peripheral companies like Razer, Corsair, etc. They have products that you can actually pull off like one of the displays and like buy it at the register in the store. Or you can go to the actual Saturn that's right behind the building, and it's like a 3-story Saturn building. So like it is marketing for them. Xperion is a marketing thing for them.
It's just an expanded demo space, basically.
Yeah, it really is though. They had like this, and I say this because they also thought it was ugly too, and they're no longer a partner, so I'll say it. They had this like a Mobile One, like maybe was it Mobile One, or it was like a Vodafone type of like booth or something. And it was just literally this empty pink space, T-Mobile, I think it was actually, empty pink space with just like 5 phones. And it was like taking up all the space with 5 phones. And it was like, how does this appeal to gamers?
Yeah.
It was so ugly. So sometimes like I'm sure they got a lot of compensation for it, and that's why they had them. But yeah, anyways, trying to get back to the main point of this situation, which I don't really even remember anymore.
It started with Masa.
Yeah, it was started with Masa. We're almost back to Masa.
We're circling back.
We're circling back. The reason why I want 500 is because of the fact that if we get 500, they'll reserve the entire venue for us. That means all the PCs are for us. Specifically, the entire venue is for us. Specifically.
Yeah.
That is what I've been told, at least. So if you aren't thinking about coming, you should think about coming so that we can get the entire venue to ourselves. That would be great. But
don't just do it for yourself. Do it for import.
Yeah, but so and why am I mentioning that? Because of the exposure. The exposure of the event was a big focal point. And so that's why I tried to separate the map pack events with the map pack release. And the pro players all disliked it. But I only heard it from one pro player, which was Masa at the time. So I hadn't heard it from anybody else. But I was in Masa's stream just right before the event, like a couple hours before. He explained his grievances to me in Masa's typical fashion. And he was like, this is not okay. Like, it makes no sense to have an event separated from the map pack release. The initial reason, and like, yes, it was also to keep the narrative of like XPEvo in people's minds and everything. But it was also because Trackady released their maps exactly a month before. And yesterday was exactly a month before the
because I also have another reason for you, and you may have thought of it. I'm sure you probably did, but like in terms of it being a streamer event and being something that they stream, giving it a week for them to release their videos on the whole thing and like get those out into the public eye before people can actually play the tracks just drives more viewers to those videos as well. Like, it's good for the streamers as well that there's a little bit of a delay. Maybe if it's not the full week, even if it's only a couple of days, but like, I also feel it's good for them.
They had good points. There's Ascension and there's Khaki, and all the streamers that were at my event, they're all playing Khaki right now. So like, I hate Khaki. I'll say it here first. It's not for me. But like for them, they're doing other things. So it was like, get the map pack, get it released so that it's already ready to go, that they can play it initially, get their thoughts in. Some of them have, like, Spammy has released a video of like his initial thoughts and everything. So, but yeah, Masa, he gave his opinion. I listened to it. We adjusted it and released it the day of, kind of last minute, but we did it. The response, I think it did I think it served its purpose in terms of putting it out to more faces. Unfortunately, from what I remember seeing, the viewership on everybody was a lot lower. I think maybe it was just a Tuesday evening, not necessarily a popular thing for a Tuesday evening stream at 8 o'clock right after a cup of the day, but that's kind of how it ended up happening. We still had a lot of viewership. We still had a lot of eyes. We actually saw a bump in ticket sales. So it achieved its purpose, maybe not to the extent that I was hoping for, but it still was more than what I like. I have two expectations personally, so I always have a low expectation, a high expectation. It surpassed the low expectation. It didn't surpass the high expectation. But yeah, no, the event stream, I find it cool that I never realized that it was actually a unique thing. I like personally thought it was something that everybody
it's one of those things where you just feel like something people would do.
But it
makes sense, right? It would make sense if you want somebody, if you're saying this is going to be the biggest international Trackmania event outside of Ascension, whatever. Like, I don't consider Ascension an international event. I don't know if you do, but I don't. But for me, it's the biggest international non-French event. We'll caveat there. And so, brain fart. Yeah, it's the largest non-French international event, and so you want to be able to showcase that. You like, if you're going to claim things, or if you're going to have all these people show up, you need to utilize them. I mean, all the people who showed up to the map pack event, they could have said no. I didn't offer anything to them outside of VIP. Like, all the people that showed up, they're getting free VIP. I mean, that's how you're going to get... Shout outs to anybody. That's how you're going to get most of your VIPs, is by offering them something free. Some wanted more. I did not handle those transactions. And I will not tell you what they were. That was an Experion thing. But I mean,
streamers wandering around in XPEvo t-shirts.
The fact that we have virtual Maji, Janik, Spammy, Scrappy, most likely. I mean, he said he's coming. We have Master Granati, of course. We have Mime. We have Trilux and his trio. I call it the Trilux trio. And Trilux is doing a full-on German production on his own end. Because for Experience side, Trilux has way more value because Germans. But yeah, it's like, to me, it's insane. They could have said no. They didn't have. They had no obligation to show up for the event. They said yes, they wanted to do it. So was the event successful? Yes, 100%. It just didn't turn out the way I was. It started out unexpectedly and it ended unexpectedly, but it ended in a positive way. All right, that's my point. I'm so sorry.
Look, I mean, my only thing is, as a viewer, as someone who watches, Trackmania YouTube videos more than I watch streams and stuff as well, I love catching something like this. Seeing people try maps, like just something a little bit different, I think is really nice. And I don't know, I haven't been into the YouTube comments because God, I don't dare. But I would hope it was received well by kind of viewers and stuff, because it is just something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, I mean, no matter what is actually said or what is done, you still got that exposure. And if you weren't actually necessarily, paying anybody to do that, you're just exchanging services, I guess. That's still a big win for you guys to get that sort of exposure and get your name out there. Yeah, and I guess the last question I had was maybe if we could eke out a little small prediction from you about who you think, because between all of this whole community event, there is still a competition. There are still big names who want to win some prize money. Who do you think that name is going to be, if you can reveal?
Before you answer that question as well, I do it's something that was asked in chat that you answered in chat earlier as well, but chat isn't getting recorded for the VOD or for a thing. Is it just the main event, or are there going to be side events as well? If people are showing up, if they're saying, listen, I'm not going to win the whole thing, but maybe I'd play a side event if there was one there.
Yeah. Without taking too much time, yes, there will be side events. There will be,
to be announced side events.
There's only 32 people. I'll leak. There will be a official cup of the day occurring during the events. People get confused by this. An official cup of the day in the game in Trackmania 2020, XPEvo themed, happening during XPEvo. We have an entire break hour blocked off production wise so that everybody can play the cup of well, we hope that everybody can play. It's probably going to be signups. It's probably going to be first come first serve because
great reason to try and get to the 500 people. Get more PCs available.
Exactly. It's like there's 300 of you, and right now with the amount of PCs that we have,
bring a laptop with you.
Yeah, I don't even know if
bring a portable hotspot and a laptop.
Something like that. Yeah, do your best.
Probably a generator as well to plug it into.
Something like that. So that'll be on Friday. Then we have a TMX speed mapping event with TMX Trackmania Exchange. On Saturday evening before after party, we will have full speed of the week with Ox for anybody who plays full speed and knows Ox. That is a classic full speed player community thing to do, and I will be casting that with. That's where I will be casting. As Ox will be hosting it because it's his kind of show thing, but we'll be doing that before the after party. Then the after party will be happening. We'll have DJs from the community. We'll have Nitro Faint. We'll have Miss. We have a third, but I'm getting conflicting reports of whether he's attending or not, so I will hold off that name for now. And then on Sunday, we will have an Ice Cup. So those are your side events. Yeah.
Listen, I know some guys who are really into mini RPG as well. If you feel the need to, slip another one in there too.
If I had the time, I would. But we tried to plan things in a way that was breaks for everyone. And so
listen, we'll do that in 2024. Don't worry, okay? I'll get back to you on that one. Import. We can get back to the question then.
Yes.
Babz asked it. Who is your small little prediction? Just a little guess on who's taking the whole thing down.
And make it a BITM player, but a small prediction.
But it is a little prediction.
Yeah, a little prediction.
No real pressure on this one.
I love you guys, but it's not going to be a BITM player. Just the level of competition. If there's a BITM player that I don't.
What if we can convince Pac to join?
Is Babz even attending?
No.
Is he attending? No. So then
our main hope is Wizzy.
Oh, Wizzy. I think Wizzy will go far, but I don't think he's going to win. And I say that with love because Wizzy's actually participates with Evo on some competitions. Love you, Wizzy. But yeah,
The eyes darting backwards and forwards. Is Wizzy in the room with you right now?
Was he type 1?
yeah. For the I mean, yes, you could say Epos won Racing Summit, and I think that is a feat to do, but you also have to understand that the field, the skill level, the field of play, you had Spammy, you had Stuffs, and you had a couple others. That's not a strong field. Like, they're strong players.
Yeah.
Not saying that they're not good, but the field in general, you have a much easier time getting through. And getting through and winning is still a feat in its own. And I applaud Epos for doing that. If Epos is attending XPEvo, that's amazing too. Do I think he will have the similar success? No. I just know that there are multiple TMGL players attending. I know that we have returning champions from Czechia attending. I know that we have mid-major players who are insane, have been improving since a year now, that have been shown up at Div 1 top 10 Cup of the Days every single day. Whether you think those maps are good or bad, that's irrelevant at this point, because to have that kind of consistency is also insane. And so I just think overall the skill level is way higher than majority of your events. So yeah.
Import. It's a lot of words.
I know. I didn't say
none
who
of
it
them
was.
were a prediction.
None of them were a prediction. Frick.
Give us a name.
Can I give you can I give 3?
Only if you rank them.
Rank them. Okay. I'll give a rank. I think Grenady is going to be potentially 1. Ooh. And I'm going to leak that they're attending, but this one's going to be a half and half, so it's actually going to be 4 people. Afi or Otak.
A French player.
Yes. And then I think that a trained feed will win.
Ooh.
I think
Honestly,
a trained feed will
I kind of
win.
back that. Yeah. I've been really impressed with feed over the last year or so. He's been very, very quick.
He's insane. And I think that because Tracadia was his thing and he's wanting to defend that title, I think the drive for him is going to be a lot harder. It only depends on how much he's balancing Ascension and World Cup with XPEvo. So if he's trained and if he's feeling comfortable, I think Feed has a high chance of winning again, or at least making it to the top 12 for sure, 100%. But like, yeah, I think overall that's who my top 4 are.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, with the field that is going to the event, you could pick a name out of a hat and say they're going to win, and you know, you could make arguments for pretty much anyone. It's going to be very interesting to see how everything, you know, pans out. Yeah, who shows up, who doesn't show up, who wins in the end.
Unplug so a BITM player wins. It's going to be fun.
Exactly. But I think that's all the questions I had time for. Nua,
absolutely. No, we've been on a journey. Import, as you pointed out there at the end, the next 3 months for competitive Trackmania are kind of insane. Ascension, the World Championship, and then, of course, XPEvo. All things to look forward to, but of course, XPEvo the most of all because the beer is going to be cheap. And also, there'll be a really good Trackmania competition happening in the background of all of that. Sure. It's going to be wonderful. Import, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. It's been we've been on a journey from collegiate esports in North America, all the way to moving to Germany, all the way through the Orgs and Trackmania and XPEvo and everything that is going on with things that you're a part of at the moment. Is there any final note that you want to leave us on here?
Yes. Obviously attend XPEvo September 22nd to 24th. So there's still
I'll give you that one for free. You can even say something else here at the end.
Perfect. There's still tickets available. You have basic and tournament entry tickets. Basic is €15 and tournament entry is €45. And they have all their perks that you can find at discord.gg/evo esports. All right, now with the other side of the thing, also want to shout out, thank you guys for letting me join this podcast. You can also check out other podcasts in Trackmania. I will say I love you guys, but I think we started the trend first. That Dropped Gears will be streaming.
Beat us by like a few weeks, couple of months.
Yeah, a little.
Did beat us.
True. Dropped Gears will be happening tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Hopefully, we have the similar issue as you guys, where sometimes we're just like, we're not going to make it today, so no podcast today. But hopefully we'll have it tomorrow. I think it's just going to be me, Shorty, and Lime tomorrow. No planned guest, but I would say it would be super cool if we had a massive collaboration between the entire Cuppa and Dropped Gears podcast crew together. I think that would like
the Dropped Cuppa episode.
Oh
my god!
Include a quiz show where we fight against each other or do something Trackmania related. I think that would be insane.
I kind of love it.
Yeah, so definitely check that out. Also, love yourselves, love your friends, and take care of yourselves. So. That's it.
You know what? It's great messaging to end things off on. I think all of the podcasts here, we're all going to be going twice a week by the end of the year with everything we're going to have to talk about. But for now, thank you everyone who's joined us this evening once again. Thank you Import for joining us too. Babz, it's been nice to see you as well, I guess. And
can I ask a question really quickly?
Absolutely.
Babz, where are you at right now?
What do you mean, my background, or where am I at?
No. Like, where are you that it's like hot to the?
So it's 42 degrees. Well, the height was 42 today.
What are you in? Are you in the UK or are you like where you were?
No, I'm in Bordeaux in France. For anybody who knows me, I'm similar to you, a bit of an expert.
Because I was like, why is he cooking right now? Like,
oh, I am. Like... we spoke about my bodily fluids at the start of this, and it's probably a good note to end it on, I guess. You know, full circle. Yeah. We talked about the journey.
Yeah, there we go.
We've bonded throughout this experience.
We've hit it. Babz, show us the towel. How's it survived?
I'm not gonna lie. This entire podcast, I was like, he's not, because I remember you saying you were in the UK, and I was like, where's he at then? So this entire time while we've been having this conversation, I've been going on my monologues. In the back of my mind, I'm like, where's Babz?
But where is he?
Where is this guy? Yeah. Anyway, we could yes.
Towel reveal, and then we turn off the cameras, and then the stream.
There'll be no towel reveal. I started with a grey shirt and now it's black. That's
towel reveal. I want to see the sweat stain on the towel.
I've just got a look from my girlfriend like, I will leave you if you show him the towel. So that's not going to happen. I'm gonna swiftly end the episode. I had a few shout outs to do as well. Any BITM players who are looking to take part in the World Trackmania Tech competition, the one that's been announced fairly recently, make sure to check out the Dullahan team who are looking for sign-ups at the moment, the Academy BITM team. Contact Demon if you need any more information on that. Otherwise, make sure to check out Import, all the stuff that Evo are doing, the podcast, the LAN, all the events. It's all good stuff. And keep coming back next week for another episode on our side. I think that's all we have time for. Thank you very much, Import, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nua, I guess thank you for being beside me. And we'll see you all again next week, I guess. And as always, thank you for tuning in. And have a lovely evening. Bye, guys.